Welcome to On Texas Football. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by CJ Vogel and Rod Babers. Time for Bingham's Bourbon Breakdown. CJ and Rod and I are going to talk about the Longhorns game against Arkansas this weekend. We'll go over the offense, the defense, special teams, as well as give you our score predictions. Let's start off with the Texas offense. CJ, this Texas offense sputtered against Georgia. How do you think they're going to fare coming up against the Arkansas Razorbacks?
Yeah, fortunately, they don't have to play Georgia this weekend, right? And it's basically the complete opposite in the conference that they get to face on Saturday, right? Arkansas, very, very much one of the bottom teams in the conference defensively. They're 115th in their run defense, 108th in their pass defense, and all the while, look, they're 121st with 32.5 points per game allowed. I wanted to make this a point because there's been a lot of discussion, a lot of Steve Sarkisian talking about it. Obviously, we've talked about it, but the run game for Texas, if there was ever a time, it would be this weekend. Memphis ran for 290, Notre Dame 210, Tennessee 264, A&M 217, and Auburn 230 yards. Look, that should tell you where teams have a lot of success. Every single team in the conference this year has scored 30 points or more, except for LSU a week ago, who started their backup quarterback. This team allows a lot of points, a lot of yards. Texas should be able to move the football. And I look specifically at their cornerbacks. I know I just mentioned a lot of running stats there. Cornerbacks, Jordan Young, Connie Walker, and Julian Neal, all of them allowing north of 14 yards per reception, wow. All of which hovering around 55% or more completion percentage as well. Texas should be able to move the football, and as a result, that should get Texas back on track when, hey, they're going to need some points against A&M as well.
Mm-hmm. Rod, how do you see that? We'll get an injury report later today on Ryan Wingo, young man. We're waiting to see how healthy he is, I guess. But the thought process of this Texas offense, after going out and playing a Georgia defense and a Georgia team that's pretty strong, only scoring 10 points. The next week they go up against a team that gives up a lot of points, but it's not as easy as 1 + 1 = 2. We all know that. Just because they're playing an easier defense doesn't mean that an offense that's only scoring 10 points in a game is going to have an easier time against Arkansas. What do you make of all that?
But it's the explosive plays. I mean, CJ's right. This is defense. It has been struggling all season long, but they've given up a ton of explosive plays too. They're outside the top 130s in 10+ yard plays allowed and 20+ yard plays allowed. Mm-hmm. So Texas not only should be able to move the football, they should be able to get explosive plays against this group. So that's what I'm looking for. That's something that has unfortunately become synonymous with this Arkansas team. So if Texas can't generate explosive plays against this group, I'm talking about the 20+ yard plays, the 10+ yard plays, then that's something concerning about the offense. I expect them to have a huge bounce. This is a bounce back game. If you don't bounce back, all right, now Georgia, we get struggling on the road, obviously at Georgia versus Kirby Smart. You ain't the only one. It's happened to a lot of folks. But this Arkansas team, and CJ just gave you all the stats, defensively, they have not really been able to put together a high-level performance all year long. And so if this Texas offense can't get back on track, have a bounce-back performance versus Arkansas, maybe there's something going on. Maybe there's a bigger issue happening with this Texas offense. Maybe they're regressing as an offense altogether. And we thought they started to hit the point where we were going to see improvement, right? Something transfer from one game to the next. Didn't have that versus Georgia. Hopefully they get back on track. And this is the perfect game for it. For the offense, it should be kind of a slump-buster for them. If we don't see it, then that's concerning.
Yeah, I think Arch Manning's improving. I do think the offensive line, even against Georgia, I felt like they gave Arch enough time to get through progressions. Not perfect, Rod. Certainly better than a year ago, though.
I think it's because Arch he's getting better. I think it's the first point. According to Pro Football Focus, they gave up 23 hurries and 30 pressures. So I think Arch is just handling it better. He's just better handling it.
Yeah. He's masking it quite a bit better. Mm-hmm. I think this is also going to be a big game for the tight ends. And I know we've been saying it for a few weeks. When does a Jack Hendricks or a Jordan Washington or one of these guys really start to pop off? There's going to be space, especially in the middle of the field here of this Arkansas defense. Now it's going to be up to Arch Manning to find those guys because, again, I think there's something up top for Arch where he finds his playmakers on the outside first. Maybe a little bit more so than what we saw with Quinn Ewers, but there's going to be opportunities this weekend for the tight ends to get free and really start to get going in the passing game. Something that I think a lot of Texas fans are a little surprised it's taken so long to get to this point.
Yeah, I think one of the big factors of this week actually is not necessarily the ability to move the ball. I think Texas is going to be able to do that. It's going to come down to executing in the red zone and scoring touchdowns instead of field goals. And we need to talk about the Texas defense next, Rod, because that's part of the issue right now. Texas red zone defense is struggling. They do so again against an Arkansas team that scores a lot of points. That would not be good. This offense has got to play well this weekend. No two ways about it. All right, we're going to talk about the defense next. Rod, you'll have that. But first, please tell folks about our friends over at Bingham's Bourbon.
Glad to do it. And thank you very much to our friends at Bingham's Bourbon for supporting On Texas Football, created by Grammy and Oscar winning artist Ryan Bingham. That's right, folks. For years, Ryan turned down offers to put his name on just any bottle. No, instead, he insisted he wanted a bourbon he could be proud of, one that stayed true to his Texas roots and where the music comes from. That's why he built Bingham's from the ground up, a Texas certified whiskey made with 100% Texas grown grains, distilled and aged in the serene Texas climate for a bold, unmistakable flavor. From the hands of local Texas farmers to the barrel to the glass, every drop is a tribute to the land, the craft, and the people who shape it. Bingham's Bourbon, proof that Texas makes a damn good bourbon, available now across Texas. Find details at binghamspirits.com. That's binghamspirits.com.
Thank you, Rod. Hey, Rod, this Texas defense, last two fourth quarters against Vanderbilt and Georgia, they give up 21 points. Defensive breakdowns in the secondary. I thought it was just youth against Vanderbilt. It wasn't just youth, Rod. What are your thoughts on this Texas defense, and how do they stack up against an Arkansas offense that can put points on the board?
I still have faith in the Texas front. I do think they're still one of the strongest fronts in the country, and that's a strength from them. It's been an asset, and it didn't really the dam didn't break until late in the game when I think the spirit was broke after that onside kick versus Georgia. But the pass defense has become a liability for Texas, and this is a week where it will be challenged. I mean, this Arkansas offense, especially Taylor Green, I've been saying it for a while, guys, might be the best player on the bad team. If you look at 10-plus yard rushes, he's first in the SEC. He is third in the SEC in 20-plus yard rushes. He's had 40 20-plus yard passes. That's second in the SEC. 103 10-plus yard passes. That puts him in top 5 in the SEC. His only issue is he does throw a lot of picks. Does have 10 interceptions, so that could be something Texas takes advantage of. But they haven't made plays on the ball in 3 weeks, guys. What's been my big complaint? All right, I don't care about you getting beat. Guys get beat. There's great athletes on the other side of the ball, and they're on ship too. But you need to make plays on the ball, and they're playing so conservatively. They're given so much cushion. They're not able to get to the catch point and make plays on the football. So hopefully they can do that this week. But if they don't, this offense is hard to stop. They're second in the total 10-plus yard plays in the country, top 5 in 20-plus yard plays. You're talking about one of the most explosive offenses that Texas has faced all season long. It will be a challenge. The running back, Mike Washington, he's one of the best in the SEC. Guy's averaging 6.5 yards per rush. All right. And on top of that, you got to deal with the dual threat element of Taylor Green. So I think this is going to be a challenge for this Texas defense. I think it could end up being a shootout if that secondary doesn't get it together.
CJ, what did your research tell you about this Arkansas defense?
Yeah, I think this is a scary game for Texas for the same sense of what you just said, Rod, is look, you got to start quickly if you're on the Texas offense because you know what exactly Arkansas likes to do. And in the first half, boy, did they run the football better than just about anybody in the country. In fact, they're the number 2 rushing yards per average or per attempt team in the entire country. They average more than 6.95 yards per carry in the first half.
Wow.
They're going to beat down the Texas front 7. And as a result, that puts you in a pretty scary situation if you're the Texas secondary, considering what we've seen over the last 2 weeks with Texas on the field, throwing the football in the back end of games. So that's why it's a little frightening for me. Now, again, Texas has a great front 7. They've been able to stop the run. But this Arkansas front has been able to create headwaves anywhere that they've wanted to so far this year, running the football. Oh, and of course, Taylor Green. If you don't have gap integrity up front, or at least some sort of spot, he's probably the most dynamic runner Texas will face this year, even more so than Marcel Reed, more than Diego Pavia, because of his size and because of his long strides. He can beat you and beat you for a lot very quickly.
Who are their big playmakers outside of him? You mentioned Mike Washington. Rod did. They have any receivers that Texas really needs to be worried about, CJ?
Yeah, the guy last year was Andrew Armstrong, right? And we obviously got to see a pretty fun matchup with him and Jahdae Barron. This year, Omega Blake is the one for me. 670 yards, 4 touchdowns. When they get towards the red area, he becomes a guy that they like to go to. I know you see 4 targets or 4 touchdowns. You may not think red zone area guy for them. They like to target him in that area, and boy, are they effective in the red area as well. Rod, you mentioned that's one of the big keys for Texas, or Bobby, excuse me, just finding ways to punch 7 on the board rather than 3. Arkansas right now, top 5 in terms of red zone trips resulting in touchdowns. They've got it figured out right now.
Yeah, Bobby Petrino who's taken over for Sam Pittman, is an offensive guy. So that all makes sense, and he's having an opportunity. He's really trying to audition for the job, right?
Yeah.
And so he's leaving nothing to waste when it comes to that kind of stuff. Special teams. Longhorns pretty good in special teams. How do they stack up against the Razorbacks, Rod?
Can I just say this about? I don't think we talked enough about it because it was Texas, Georgia, and nobody cared about special teams when you're getting blown out pretty much. But their punter essentially averaged almost like less than 35.
You're talking about the Georgia punter.
He averaged like 35 yards. I think he averaged punch, something like that, a little of that. And I mean, this guy usually averages around 45, 46 yards per punt, somewhere around there. And so even though that Ryan Niblett doesn't get a chance to actually return punts, because of his reputation now, he's getting you still probably 10 yards of hidden yardage per punt in your favor. Because they're having to kick it real high, and so you can tell they don't have as much control when they're kicking it high, or they're trying to avoid him altogether and kick it away from him, and that also affects their accuracy as well. So all the different ways that they're trying to avoid Ryan Niblett are actually helping Texas gain some hidden yardage. I expect it to be the case going forward. So nobody really cares, but that is something I think that we should give Ryan Niblett some props for. That's his reputation, getting you that yardage.
It makes punters really uncomfortable, I think, is knowing that they have to directionally punt, which we've talked about. College punters not necessarily good at it. Right now, Arkansas's punter around mid-40s in terms of averaging about 44 yards per punt. Field goal kicking, they're 10 of 13, only 13 attempts through 10 games. You see they like to be aggressive as well. I have it even on 4th downs, they go for it pretty often. They're 53% on the season. That's about 77th. And, of course, Texas right now still sitting inside the top 10 on 4th down percentages as well.
Interesting. I think it's going to be a game where, and let's go to the prognostication portion of the show now, guys. A lot of people don't realize they played 7 games in the SEC. They're 2-8 on the year. They're 0-7, I believe, in conference right now. Or no, 0-6 in the conference. All but one of those games have been a 1-score game.
Yep,
it's amazing.
And whether it's A&M or Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU, Mississippi State, all 1-score games. So Arkansas has been in almost all of these games. The only one that's beaten them by 2 scores is Auburn. And
oddly enough.
Frankly, even though they have a 2-8 overall record, it's not like they haven't played tight games all year. They just haven't come out on the winning end of them. Let's hope it doesn't happen against the Longhorns. I'm gonna go 31-28 Texas in this one.
Shootout.
Say this, I am a little reticent to go in that direction because I'm really concerned about the Texas secondary right now. People ask me, what's your number one concern on the team right now? It's not pass protection. It's not arch. It could be the mentality of the team coming off a big loss, being probably out of the college football playoff. Could be all those things. But you're not going to win football games if you haven't busts in the secondary. You just don't win football games that way. It doesn't. It's the one thing that can get your butt gone before anything. If you don't cover people, you're dead. I mean, it has to be contested. And frankly, I thought 3 of those touchdowns weren't contested at all against Georgia, and there were 2 against Vanderbilt that weren't. So I mean. All right, 31-28 for me. I've said I've got. Let me get off my soapbox so you guys can talk. CJ, you go next, bud. We'll finish up with Rod.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of points in this game. I think 38-35 is kind of where I had my pen, written down with this score. That's a lot of points. 35 points, that'd be 4 straight weeks of the Texas defense allowing 30 points or more. But to your point, Bobby, I don't know why else I'm led to believe that they could stop a cold at the moment. So 38-35 Texas, I think this is a showing where the Texas offense, again, we've talked about Slump-Buster seemingly every other week this year. This is one where I think they get back at home, a place they haven't played often this year, and they put points on the board. The one thing I do say, it is what, 11.5, 12-point spread at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
If Texas were to cover that, it would be because the defense took away the ball multiple times this year. Arkansas does not create takeaways, and they turn the ball over. They have one of the worst turnover margins in the entire country. That's the recipe right now in path for a Texas blowout.
Rod B?
Yeah, they're going to score.
Rod, before you start, 31-28 for me, 38-35 for CJ. What you going to do, bud?
A smart play is to go right in between you guys somewhere.
The price is right.
I'm going to go 35-27 Texas. 35-27 Texas. I agree with you, though, Bobby. You're right. They played everybody close. They really are their own worst enemies at the end of games. Clutch time has really been their worst enemy. They just make bad decisions.
Yep.
They really do have kind of mental lapses in clutch time, but they score a lot of points. I think they will. And I agree with you, Bobby. My biggest concern, and I'm a DB, is the secondary, because it's not just one issue. We're talking about you're talking about mental coverage busts out there. So those are mental lapses. We're talking about technique errors. You're talking about leverage concerns as well. You're talking about guys who don't know where their help is. Ultimately, guys playing with too much cushion. So, or is that a confidence issue the guys don't have? They're not making many plays on the football. The crossing routes are an issue. The curl routes are an issue. The switch routes are an issue. The switch releases are an issue with this group now. Pretty much you name it. The rollouts. Oh, don't get me started on the rollouts. And Taylor Green will roll out like Gunnar Stockton, like Diego Pavia. That's an issue. So it seems like everything right now for this secondary is giving them problems. They got to fix it. They got to get back to something that they do well. And maybe you got to simplify. Maybe you just got to go man to man and go, all right, guys, we just got to go man to man. That's your guy. You ain't got to worry about reading route combinations. You ain't got to worry about leverage. Just go and cover that dude, and we're going to give you a little bit of help. I'm not sure exactly what the answer is, but they need to get to a solution and do it quickly.
Interesting. I saw you saying that. What are you pointing to there, CJ?
I think we see a lot of Cade Phillips this weekend. I do. Yeah. I think you see a lot of Malik Muhammad, a lot of Cade Phillips. If that's the case, Rod, go back to upward basketball. Everybody gets a red, a blue, a yellow wristband, and that's who they guard that day. Right? it just feels like, to your point, that was a grocery list of things that Texas isn't doing well or defending well. What's the best way to remedy that? Hey, that's your man. Go cover him. Go wherever he goes. Hold the pocket. You follow him everywhere you go. I'd love to see that this upcoming weekend.
And these are the receivers, by the way. These are not elite receivers. They're good. They're good receivers, but these are not. You should not be scared to play man-to-man against these guys. If you can't play man-to-man against these guys, you can't play man-to-man, in my opinion, because they're not elite, in my opinion.
Here's what I would say to that. That's great. Play man-to-man. That means everybody's back's going to be to Taylor Green, and he's going to run 70 yards to the house, He's got that long speed. I mean, he's got legit long speed. Right. Crossing routes would be a problem at that point unless you drop more into coverage as well. Oh boy! All right, this is what you worry yourself about when you don't think you can rely on your secondary. That's my whole thing. When that is that is a bigger concern to me than the Texas offensive line and pass protection.
Yeah,
and I would not have told you that a month ago. Can you believe that? No. That's how things change. All right. Rod, thank you so much. CJ, thank you so much. Rod, please tell folks again about our friend Ryan Bingham and Bingham's Bourbon.
Oh, glad to do it. Thank you very much to Ryan Bingham for being a part of the Owen Texas football family and sponsoring our program here. Bingham's Bourbon, created by Grammy and Oscar-winning artist Ryan Bingham. For years, Ryan turned down offers to just put his name on any bottle. No, instead, he insisted he wanted a bottle that he could be proud of, one that stayed true to his Texas roots and where the music comes from. That's why he built Bingham's from the ground up, a Texas-certified whiskey made with 100% Texas-grown grains, distilled and aged in the Syrian Texas climate refinement for a bold, unmistakable flavor. From the hands of local Texas farmers to the barrel to the glass, every drop is a tribute to the land, the craft, and the people who shape it. Bingham's Bourbon, proof that Texas makes a damn good bourbon. Available now across the great state of Texas. Find details at binghamspirits.com. That's binghamspirits.com.
All right. Thank you very much, Rod B. For CJ Vogel, as well as lifetime Longhorn, Rod Babers, and our producer, Matt Hutchison, thanks for listening to Bingham's Bourbon Breakdown. We'll be back later tonight with a live stream. Make sure you check in, ask us questions. CJ, you, along with Jeff Howell, will be there with Amanda Atwell. Hope you guys enjoy it. Have a good week. Hook 'em horns.
Welcome.